Welcome everybody to the Brooks Memorial Library Board of Trustees meeting on April 4th, 2026. This wonderful warm spring day, and also Star's last meeting we expect, unfortunately. Public comments, there's nobody from the public here.
Yes.
Welcome Cody to our meeting as the library rep, staff rep today. Look forward to talking to you during the meeting. Are we going to have the gallery walk?
Yes, she said she'll be here at 5.
Okay.
And I told her we would bump her up, as soon as she got here.
We do expect somebody to come in to request use of the building for the gallery walk on Friday nights. And Star just said, coming up. President's movements, I want to welcome the new trustees, Stephanie, Felicity, welcome to us. I think it would be nice to go around the room and introduce ourselves to them as part of this meeting. Nikki, do you want to start and tell us something about tell us about what you do, like the Board of Trustees, how long you've served, what about the library makes you smile?
Oh, gosh, okay. All right, so I currently chair the Building and Grounds and Technology Committees. I am in my 3rd year, I believe, on the board. And something about the library that makes me smile is bringing my girls here.
Bob Ferranti. I've been on the board since this year. I was on the technology committee for a while before that. I'm on the technology, finance, and strategic planning committees. What about the library makes me smile is darn near everything, but just like being able to rub my hands on the spines of some books is like a good start.
Hi again, Stephanie and Felicity. I'm Leo Schiff. I am beginning my 9th and for now final year on the library board. I am a past president and past chair of the technology committee. I am on the technology committee, the strategic planning committee, and I convene the nominating committee. And what makes me smile is going up the stairs to the mezzanine and reading the names of the different kinds of topics that the library contains. I love, I'm going up philosophy, spirituality, religion, all that stuff. It just always makes me smile.
I'm Jenny Rowe. Hello again. I remember you from the nominating committee and the finance committee. This is my 10th year on the board. And how did I do that? I served 9 years and I got off for a year and then here I am again. I have been a lot of roles, president, treasurer. I think I was the secretary for a while. I was the vice president for about a minute until my president decamped to Florida, and that's how I first ascended to that role. Right now I am the treasurer and I am on the finance committee and the nominating committee and just finished up serving on the hiring committee. And what makes me smile, every time I walk in the downstairs front door and I see the changing display around the book drop.
Hi, my name is Ann Barley. I am the current president for the board. This is my finishing up my 3rd year, which after 3 years, you have to drop off as president because it's the maximum consecutive term. I've been on the board for 5 years now. I served on the strategic planning committee. I once served on the finance committee. And also among the Buildings and Grounds Committee. And what makes me smile is hearing from the community how much they love this library when I'm just out and about and talking to random people.
Hi, Stephanie, Felicity, I'm Serta Kaufman.
This is also my 9th year, like Leo, who started at the same time. I've been secretary for a couple of years, also chaired finance committee and buildings and grounds at one point, and right now just on strategic plan.
It makes you smile.
Oh, what makes me smile are the staff downstairs. Well, and others. But you always have a mask on, so I can.
Did you wanna?
Do you want me to, I don't do anything yet. I'm Felicity Rattay, and I don't know, I've lived here since 1997. And I've always wanted to be on the library.
Awesome.
So it makes me smile to actually be here.
Go.
So I'm Cody, I'm the staff representation right now today. I'm the technical services librarian, and so I work in that office tucked off in the corner up here. And what makes, I've been here for about 2 years now. And what makes me smile is the fact that I can rely on any one of my colleagues to have my back at any time.
Stephanie?
Stephanie Swindle, and first time, don't know what, no committees. And one of the many things that makes me smile about the library, I like the art that's on the walls, because everyone's there to look at the books, and I like kind of being surprised by the art that's on the walls.
Thank you, everyone. I want to remind everyone that next week, on the 19th, begins the National Library Week. So there's a lot of special days for National Library Week. So the staff is gearing up for that, and we probably have a display in the Brattleboro Chamber of Commerce window. We do. Awesome. So please just thank the staff, and especially give them a special thank you next week.
And should I jump in and talk about what we're gonna do next week? For National Library Week? Okay, already.
Star, we missed you.
And so National Library Week, I have given a proclamation to Oscar, and he's gonna have a proclamation at the select board meeting, so that will be cool. We do have this Story Lab workshop where professional storytellers like the Moth, only this is Transom Storyteller, are gonna come and train young people ages 8 to 18, in case anybody knows any, to do professional storytelling, how to interview people, to elicit stories, and how to record them. And then we're gonna go out on the street and ask people what brings them joy, because the theme of National Library Week this year is library joy. So please, I do have more of those in case anybody wants one, but if you do know of any young people that you can sign up for this, it's an amazing opportunity. So that's going to happen on Monday. On Tuesday will be the proclamation. Monday, the library will have the display in the Chamber of Commerce, and Wednesday will be, just library joy all day. And then Thursday, because it's also spring break for the school, we have worked with the Latches to show Matilda, which has a strong library theme, at 2 p.m. for kids. And again, if nobody has seen this movie, you must come, because it is amazing. We're going to show Lost in Paris, which right? So Lost in Paris is, the stars are a married couple in real life, and they are very physical comedians. The premise of the movie is a librarian comes from coldest Canada and has to go hunt down her dotty elderly aunt in Paris, and all the mishaps that befall her therein. So it starts at the library, it ends at the library, spoiler alert. But in between, it is just a laugh riot, and it's subtitled, so people will have to read, so further extending the library.
Amazing.
And it's great because it shows romance between people who are not beautiful and young, and it shows romance actually between some elderly people, Pierre Rashad being one of them. So I really encourage you all to come. It will be so
What day
much
is
fun. It's Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Latches, and it's by donation. So
fun.
and Matilda will also be.
Matilda,
What?
this movie is called Matilda.
No, the one I'm talking about is called Lost in Paris.
Lost in Paris.
It is so fantastic. You will love it. I promise. Anybody that doesn't love it, money back. Remember, it's by donation. Anybody that doesn't love it, I'll be happy to sit and convince you that you did.
I actually love this.
So start.
Yeah.
Backtracking a little bit.
Oh, and then there is something too on Saturday. Yeah, go ahead.
I left you out of the introductions.
Oh,
I
that's,
don't know how I should do that. I am well known to do that. I apologize.
well, it was the board.
Yes.
Plus you mentioned that this is my last.
So tell us what makes you happy and all the other good stuff.
It makes me so happy to be here. There's not a day that that something wonderful that makes me be doesn't happen here. So yeah, I'm just lucky to be able to have the keys to the place.
And this is your only meeting as a named duck.
So ducky.
We're done today. You really missed
Exactly.
the opportunity star.
I do have chicken feet, but I don't have ducky. So, and then Saturday, we are going to have a big falderal, just celebration of the library. I had originally planned on that being my last day, but I am staying a couple extra weeks. But it's going to be a big party for the community to celebrate library joy. And we will have the Moondogs playing at 1:30. And they will play till about 3, and then at 3, we will have people if they want to say something, if if trustees want to say something, if somebody from the town wants to say something. Becca Ballant said she wants to say something, but she has other things on her plate, so who knows? But in case anybody wants to say anything, and I figure it can be like an open mic, and members of the community can say things. Although I did convince my son to have an open mic at his wedding, but when I told my friend the night before the wedding, we were having dinner in the restaurant, and she's like, no, bad idea. And the guy
followed that advice. Really.
the guy at the table next to us looked, and she said, an open mic at a wedding. Am I right? He's like, oh yeah, no. Hilarious. But I figure no one will be drinking at this, so it should be fun. So people can come and say what they have to say about how much they like the library. If they want to say something about me, they can. But the friends are going to make homemade baked goods, so that will be great. And then if time allows and circumstances allow, one of the things I had talked to Tara about was doing a story time for kids that morning, because that's what I used to do all the time. So we may do that too. And which will be fun.
Just to confirm, so you're not gonna, I know you spoke about postponing,
Right.
so you're not postponing it, you're gonna have it that day.
Yeah, there were too many things already in place to try and switch gears.
So with that being said too, I want to sum up that the trustees, if you're more than welcome, the friends would welcome us contributing to the cookies that is going to be given out that day. So if you bring in cookies on that Saturday, it would be most appreciated. So the friends is, any help, because I don't remember how many cookies they're planning up, but we figure there's going to be at least 1,000 cookies needed. So I just
What's
wanted
the
to.
timing on Saturday?
The music and the snacks will come out at 1. The music starts at 1:30.
Okay.
I don't remember if the friends had a specific time for the cookies. I think just people can drop off treats anytime. But we'll just.
We'll
try to
sample
keep it
them
the
ahead of
finger.
time.
So not too far ahead.
And the roasting is at 3?
Yeah, absolutely, bring it.
Okay.
Leo's gonna be there 3 sharp.
Good.
Oh,
Okay,
but it's a worthy fundraiser.
Yeah.
okay, I'm gonna move, anything else, Doug, that you wanna add to that?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Minutes of the last meeting on March 10th, hopefully everybody's had a chance to read them, are they, any comments, changes, accepted as is?
Yep, good.
Yep, accept, okay, moving on, thank you, Leo, for the wonderful, one more. Friends of the Library update. So I attended the last Friends of the Library meeting, and Bob, you and I gotta get together, which date we left on that. And mostly there was discussion, first of all, the board leadership may have some changes, so they're just looking at that. They were trying to recruit new members to their board. And spruce it up, so they're working on that. They talked about the hiring process for the new library director and the interview process. They also talked about the upcoming gallery walk because the board is usually very prominent in the first Friday of the month gallery walks. They talked about that. Fund balance is doing great. Annual appeals and all that stuff, they don't have any concerns. They're just, the cash is still coming in, so that is all looking good. So they're planning a spring raffles. There's some Melissa Sweet artwork that was donated to the Friends. So they talked about plans for that raffle and raffling the paintings off. Started, do you have any updates since that meeting?
I took them over to Zephyr right away. We're still waiting for them to be framed and brought back.
Yeah, they're thinking, I think, for some reason I got $20 a ticket.
No, I think it was, might have been $5 a ticket or 5 for $20, something. Yeah.
Yeah, so that they've got that going on as a moneymaker. They're having a garden party on July 12th, at least that's the date that I've written down. Every year except for last year that I can remember, they have a garden party at, whose house does it start?
Sharon Myers.
Yes, so just people just they have little hors d'oeuvres and treats and whatnot.
And I see that Erin is here, so why don't we go finish the Friends report and then we'll call.
Okay, we'll do that. But then they just talked about giving away money to the library, so there's a lot of good questions for the money, and they just went down to the various requests, and granted all the requests that Star and the library patrons had. That was the conclusion of the meeting. Do you have anything else, Star, that I missed?
No, I'll just say that I did meet with the treasurer and the president today to just draft a preliminary budget, because it's one of those odd months where the Friends meeting immediately follows this meeting. So they will meet tomorrow. They'll be putting out a draft budget to the board, and then they'll present it at their annual meeting, which is in May, and vote on it. So
And
that's it.
Circle will be attending the meeting. Yep. Wow.
Okay.
Thank you, Circle.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Star.
All right, and this is Erin.
Yeah,
If you don't know Erin, this is a wonderful Erin and wonderful and energetic Erin Skaggs who runs Gallery Walk all by herself. And when she's not at starting
Many hands it takes the new gallery walk. Thanks for having me to the meeting. In case you don't know, as Star said, I'm Erin Skaggs. I'm creative director for the Downtown Brattleboro Alliance, which is the designated downtown organization for Brattleboro. Our function is to nurture the vitality of downtown through economic development and through community building events and promotion. So that's where Gallery Walk and First Friday comes in. Are you familiar with the program? Yeah, okay, great. We're in our 6th season.
Stephanie, can you hear okay? Good.
Yeah,
Just want.
This will be our sixth season. We break the program into two chunks. There's of course Gallery Walk, which has been around for 30 years-ish now. And that is 14 walkable galleries downtown. Open their doors for free with exhibits, artist talks, all sorts of programming. And then First Friday is what we refer to the block party piece as. And that's closing Elliott Street, closing Harmony Lot, putting the market, the stage, the beer garden, food trucks, all the hullabaloo. And every year, because it's programming an outdoor event, which is a special kind of masochism, we have to think about weather. And so when we have inclement weather, I'm generally trying to pivot as much as I can indoors. So I find a home for the market. Last year we used the Sam space, but there is some movement with that Main Street level space. So we're hoping to maybe use the lower level Sams this year. And I'm generally on the hunt for the best place to put the music. And sometimes that's at Stone Church. The tech who runs our sound is a Stone Church tech who provides the PA. It also happens to be my husband, which is super convenient. And so sometimes it's at Stone Church. I've done it at the Boys and Girls Club. But I have always thought that the library would be a very compelling place to do it because of like the piece, like tiny desk concert vibes. I think it could be really cool. And so I'm interested I can share with you kind of like what the nuts and bolts look like on my end in terms of like the manpower that I have, like what it looks like in terms of staffing, attendance, sound, bands, and programming. And I would love for all of you to kind of let me know. I'm sure there are questions, maybe even reservations. And so I'm happy to hear those and see if there's a way that it might be a good fit. I feel like it's a pretty natural extension of like the library here is like all things to all people. So why can't it be a music venue?
Could do like a silent disco. Everybody just gets headphones so they can.
Yeah. Yes, I would love to do it.
Everybody's playing, but you can only hear it.
Yeah,
Is this for every Friday or is this just when weather?
it's just when it rains.
Just
So
when
there are
it-
6 dates, May through October, on those first Fridays. And again, it's only if it rains. So I hope that it rains none of them. It's an immense amount of work to plan these things, and it's kind of a huge bummer when we have to pivot indoors because it's a different feel. But on average, we usually can count on at least like 1 or 2 that end up being rainy enough to warrant pivoting.
Can you give us an idea of numbers?
Yeah, so I wish that I could tell you it's like 300 people, but it's not. It's usually a much smaller turnout. It's hard to message the change to people as part of that. And again, people are much more excited about a parking lot outdoor concert than an indoor one. So in general, it's a much smaller turnout. In the past, when I moved it inside, the range has been as small as like 30 people. I want to say at the most, maybe like 75. And that's when it was Brat Rock. So it was several youth bands and it was all their friends who came. So I would say like 50 people might be a safe bet.
And so, sorry, a substantial amount of space for setup or something like
Yeah, so
a band.
footprint wise, we generally are setting up on a modular stage that is about, I want to say 8 by 12. And the size of band ranges. Sometimes it's just a 3-piece band and that can be quite small. And other times it's like a 7 or 8 piece band. And again, we can squish. We can kind of be flexible in how much space they take up.
Sorry, I just have one more question. I have a lot of questions, but the next one is, why not Stone Church every time?
Because Stone Church does a show that night.
So they're loading in a band at 4 or 5 and doing sound check for an hour to 2 hours. And that band is already fully set up on the stage. So the only time it's worked in the past is if they don't have a show that night, which is rare.
Is it always amplified electric music?
Generally, yes. Yep, I mean, it might be a string band, like we do sometimes do folk or bluegrass, but even those are generally amplified.
Is there a possibility of pivoting to non-electric if the library agrees to be a backup host?
Think that if it were, for example, like a 3-piece string band, that would be kind of a simple pivot to manage, but if it's a band that has drums and an electric bass, it's not really an option to remove the amplification piece. I was asking Jason about like decibels, volume, loudness prior to coming. And again, with string bands, he can turn it way down. With other instruments, he would probably mic them differently to try to keep it down. I imagine the acoustics in this room are unique, and so I think there would be some amount of tinkering for him at the outset to make sure that it sounded good and that the positioning was right.
So we can, I think about this room,
The main room,
the main.
yeah, the main room downstairs.
So, having attended many of your outdoor events,
They're very quiet and unobtrusive, right?
yeah, no, so it's very come and go.
Yes,
So I'm assuming we would not be furnishing seating. People
No.
would stand. to
Yeah.
interview.
Yep.
And dancing, no dancing in the library, I'm just kidding. But I'm concerned about like that kind of movement because there's a lot of exhibits and there's books on shelves and there's other things. So I'm just concerned how we're gonna manage crowd that event. Is this door, like, so I'm asking a bunch of questions, but they're all about the same idea, which is how do we manage the energy,
right,
so to speak?
yes.
We're gonna leave the doors of the library open. Is that what you're envisioning, so people can come and go?
Yeah, in an ideal world, it's a free show,
Yes.
low barrier. The idea is hopefully people are coming and going. It's also gallery walk, so we're always trying to kind of move people from place to place and from gallery to gallery. So what I'm envisioning is that we would place a couple of staff at the door to kind of manage that access. And then we would have people positioned in the room, probably like 4 to 6 volunteers or staff would be there to kind of do the crowd control piece.
Right.
Again, for the indoor versions, I've never, and this will be the 6th year, I've never had, where's like some wood for me to knock on. It doesn't tend to be a very wild or rambunctious crowd. Like, we have a beer garden at the event, but it's not a very boozy event either. Like, it's a pretty light crowd. It's very family friendly feeling. So my main thing that I think about is like, I'd have to be looking at the floor to see what you have in the center of the room that might need to be repositioned to clear some amount of space in the center. But then I feel like with staff and volunteers, we would just kind of each take a zone and manage it that way.
We do public events in the large room downstairs. So it's probably manageable. If the count, we may have to have someone at the door though to say we're at count. Because I'm not sure how many people were rated for by the fire department. But we do have to be pretty strict about the musicians plus your people plus crowd can't be more than a certain number
Yeah,
of
do you
people.
have a ballpark sense of?
Yeah,
Sarah might know.
it's between the mezzanine and downstairs, it's 200, well, it's 189. Downstairs, it is the bulk of that. So it's over 100 downstairs.
So it might work. We should probably walk around downstairs and let you have a good look at it. Probably after this meeting, so you can get a sense of it. I've produced a lot of events, so I might help you.
Great.
So, this is a pretty, large, agenda item, discussion to sort of like toss in to this meeting with this much notice. And, I don't know what the sense of the group is, but, it might be hard for us to come to a yes at this meeting in time for the May gallery walk. This is, I'm not speaking for anyone else, so I don't know how people are feeling. But having a loud event in the library on short notice. I have some reservations. I don't know if anyone else on the board also feels unprepared to get to a yes today.
So with that being said, Leo, I've been writing down notes. I mean, we know that we don't have any room to, I would say, with the budgets right now to just recalibrate employee to work the shift, because being open, that we're extending the opening hours on a Friday night. That means that employees would need to be here. And I don't think there's any room in the budget to have the staff those extra hours. That's one thing. I'm just gonna go through my listing. And of course, insurance is gonna be another. The other thing that I'm thinking top of my mind this year especially is we have construction starting in July. So you won't even, I don't think you'd be able to use. The front entrance is gonna be blocked off probably July, August, September. So that really is gonna minimize the amount of use this year.
How are people accessing the library during that?
Back entrance.
Yeah, we're doing the back right now, and then once that's finished, we'll do the front. So, so one entrance will be closed at all times.
It's gonna be gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And there may be, there may be a couple days actually where we'll have to close the building if we have to close down both entrances for some special thing. I agree. I think, there's a lot to discuss and to ask other people about. I will say, we had a hip hop concert here one night and it was absolutely magic. It was great, from an 80-year-old to, little kids running around. So it is a great space for that. And unfortunately, I had not been able to get with Bob Fisher because of open town meeting and everything to really talk about the legalities of this. But we would have to, not only would we have to have library staff, but we would have to have a library supervisor. So that's something that we probably need to work out ahead of time, just to make sure that person, that there was somebody who was on deck that was willing to take on that responsibility at possibly short notice.
What time do you normally close on Friday?
6. And I will say also, your comment about the beer garden is that we are far enough away from downtown that, I think you're right. I think we wouldn't get a huge crowd because they have to come all the way down Main Street. So, which makes us less appealing, and also quiet.
Also, maybe making us less appealing is no food and drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so food and drink, that's fine. The staffing piece, I totally get. I have followed the last couple of budget cycles very closely, so. I think that there's room that if there needed to be like a rental fee kind of thing to kind of offset that cost, that could be possible. Also adjusting the time frame, like normally for us, music is 6 to 9. But if it needed to be 5 to 7, there is some flexibility there. Insurance wise, typically Stone Church has event liability insurance that covers the geographic footprint of the whole event. Robin is checking to see if that could extend here, but if it doesn't, I have Wyatt at the Richards Group working up a quote for what it would be to cover just this building for these 6 occasions. And then, yeah, in terms of yes or no, I'm certainly not like walking in here planning to leave with a yes that I could go announce to the world. I totally get it. Like, I understand this is a big change of use, and I certainly don't want to advocate for something that you all aren't super comfortable. Like, a resounding yes is really what I'm hoping for eventually. And if it's not that, I will understand and go forth without hard feelings.
Appreciate that.
Yes.
We all do.
Have you talked to, Lisa and John at 118? Have you talked
Yeah,
to?
I've done it at 118 before, and it's not as though I can't find a place to do it.
Yeah.
There's many, many, many places. I want to do it here. This is the coolest one. This would be the coolest place to have like a rock show.
I
just
would
think
bring
that
in
it would-
people that maybe haven't been to.
Totally, and I also think like programming downtown inherently, we get a pretty broad swath of people. It's public space, it's free to come, like we get all kinds, and that's what we love about it. And I do think that that's what's appealing about here also, is that you have your own crowd and community. And we would be bringing some, and I think it would be a really interesting intersection.
How many days before Friday would you make the decision we want to use?
Oh.
the money?
I don't make the decision until like noon that day.
Yeah.
I'm usually like praying somewhere, like, please hold your ring.
Doing
Um,
your independence.
Yeah, yeah, so I try to make the call as late as I can, because again, I really am loath to move it. So it's usually like day of. If you were to say like, you need to know by 8 AM, again, I can be flexible, but I don't know that I'd be able to call it, before the day of.
And do you want to take a straw vote? Would you like us to discuss this with Aaron here or not here? How would you like to, you know, we're being presented with a request, which you know, the first iteration of this is probably, you know, 3.5 weeks away. How would you like us to respond at this meeting?
Oh, also just one other little proposal, is that it's entirely possible to say you wanna try it for one and see how it goes. I'm not necessarily needing you to say, yes, we're in all 6 events. Sign on the dotted line for the whole season. Like, if you wanted to even just try it for one and see how it goes, and then touch base after.
Leo, to your question too, I think we have a lot of outstanding questions that, you know, Star needs to talk to the town attorneys. You know, we need to make sure about insurance,
But I don't know if we even really have a sense of the board yet.
and yeah, true.
Well, we
But
might not until we have that information too. I think we need that information to even.
Yeah,
I mean,
I still worry about the staff. That's my,
Yeah.
because we know how stressed out the staff can be, and a new director coming on board. Does it really make sense to, you know, should that new director have a say in this decision? I don't know. I think that's something we as a board need to think about before they make that decision, because
So how about if we say that we're not prepared to respond to your request in time for the May gallery walk, and we'll continue to discuss it and invite you back if and when we have more questions for you.
Sure.
Is that okay with everybody?
That sounds good. Curiosity though, what is the May Gallery Walk entertainment looking like? That's
It's the band is called Juice. It's a 5-piece band from Brooklyn. I would call it R&B, jazz, pop. There's an electric violin, there's a drummer, and then the opening band, the Emily Margaret Band. Have you seen that? It's a local gal, Emily Margaret. She started as a brat rock band, but now she goes to college in Boston, and so she's doing all sorts of cool things there. But she's incredibly talented. She like legit has the voice of an angel, and she really uses it like an instrument. It's very cool to see. And her band, I think, is a 4-piece.
Brooklyn, New York.
Juice is from Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Okay, well, thank you all.
Really, thank you, appreciate coming.
Yeah, of course, my pleasure.
To us.
And if you think of other questions, Star has my contact. My email is Erin@brattleboro.com, so hit me up if you have any other questions. And I can kind of like send you my info as I get it.
And also thank you for all you do for this community.
Oh, honestly, my pleasure. We love to do it. Thank you.
Thanks, Erin.
Nice to meet you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay, do we want to have any more discussion or do we want to continue on and just think about for the time being?
Well, I think we do need to chat with the town and involve it, because they may just put the kibosh on it completely. And so there's,
We'll make
So
sure
there's
Amanda
that.
has the agenda, has this on the agenda for next month.
Yeah. And so I can talk to them, and as for staffing, it did dawn on me that particularly. And I'd have to check out the logistics of this with the town, but if they have funding for, say, a rental fee, if there were supervisors that said, yeah, if that happens, I'll do it.
I mean.
And then there could be there could be a stipend issue, which I know they pay stipends through the town to employees who take on an extra responsibility or extra attendance at something. And so that it wouldn't come out of our staffing budget, but something else.
We'd have to pretty much staff the whole building, right? If people are using the back door and need to use the bathrooms upstairs.
What we've done in the past, is we lock all this up down here, and then, we would have them have one of their volunteers be, monitoring the door and the restrooms.
I just want to say that, I don't think this is a great idea. I think that it is, asking for, too much agility from, the library. And, I just, I don't think it's a good fit to be a backup, concert venue. With, a short number of hours notice.
That would be my only concern, otherwise I'm completely game.
I am also, I have a question about the agility, but I don't think we can answer that question. I think that's a staff answer. If the
Yeah.
staff says we want to do it and we can do it and it won't, wouldn't be a big issue for us to find out at 1 PM that we have to move things and somebody's got an extra shift or whatever, like, then I think that's ultimately you all are gonna be the ones
Yeah.
doing it, right?
So as a staff person, I can only speak for myself here, but I would be more than happy to be the supervisor on site with however, a couple hours notice. That's the type of work I used to do in the entertainment industry.
Amazing.
So I'm happy to be the supervisor, but to your points, I can only speak for myself here.
But that goes to also saying is we're only getting notice 24 hours in advance and if you're on vacation.
Yeah.
No, like 4.
Less
Or,
than
yeah,
that. Yeah.
like
If you're on
say I made a
vacation,
decision by noon,
Well, and that could be part of the agreement too, is, like, you're gonna be the supervisor unless you are unavailable, and if you're unavailable and there's another person who's not a backup, then it has to be canceled if it's scheduled at the library, like, that could be an option too. We just have to sort of work it in the best interest of the staff.
Bob, are you satisfied with her idea about managing the energy? Does that make sense to you? A loud band and a wild dancing crowd.
Well, I think it actually depends on the music, but, when I say I'm game, I'm open to the idea. I'm not saying I'm a confirmed yes. We
Yeah,
have a lot of questions to be answered.
I could just see things toppling right and left, you know?
Yeah, exactly, so, but there are ways that we can
Yeah,
manage this,
maybe
and as
there's a way.
Star pointed out, we had a hip hop concert here once, so it's like not completely, novel. I've seen all kinds of events here.
It's not bonkers.
It's
We
not,
do the
it's not,
circuit
this shit
here.
is not bad. The tickle fair sticker.
Yeah.
So I'm open to the idea because I love the idea of, first of all, it's an arts event, how I am, I'm an arts head. But second of all, I love novel uses of the space. And as I forget who pointed it out here, but it's a chance to get people who don't normally walk in the door to walk in the door. And that's a wonderful thing. So I'm not a yes, but I'm not a no. Okay.
And I will say just, not being a dancer myself. But watching people at gallery walk, I've never seen any out of people dancing. So it tends to be a fairly staid crowd. And like I said, if they make the trek up here to the library, they'll hold off a little bit, especially if it's raining.
Especially they all have to go around to the back. Crowd will get lost.
Yeah, and it's Brattleboro, it's not gonna be LA punk,
Yeah.
So,
Just want to give Stephanie a chance, the city a chance to say, ask anything, say anything.
I just wondered, I maybe didn't hear the hours or understood the time for it, but I just wondered, because Aaron had said, they were providing some staff. I just wondered why library employees needed to be there. Is that normally working hours for them, or it sounded like she was, and I don't know how many people would have to be there to supervise, but that was my thought. Yes.
Yeah, it would be after hours because it's on a Friday and we close at 6. And we always have library staff in the building if the main library is open.
Okay. We'll move on. Thank you. Gonna go to the finance committee, Jenny.
Okay, well, you can see the minutes. And the reports. I would just point out that there was not a good month in the stock market. March, our largest account is down about 4.3%, which is,
yeah.
it happens, yeah, so it's gonna go up and down, I think, and March was down. At the meeting, we reviewed those accounts. We talked about the construction project budget and the meeting that came earlier that day with the state librarian who clarified how we're gonna get the reporting done, and we need to transition from Star to 2 other people who'll be able to submit the invoices through the portal and so forth. So that is a decision that I believe still needs to be made. As to when we change over and who's going to do it. We talked about the next budget cycle, the endowment side of the budget, which is not voted on by the town, but is set by us. And I was reminded after the meeting when I looked at my previous notes that the board already agreed on a 4% draw, which is what we usually take from all of our different accounts. We have a large endowment account and then a bunch of smaller restricted accounts, so we take 4% each, and this is what that looks like for the coming year. It'll be just over 100,000. So pretty soon, we're going to need to start the work of line by line, budgeting for next fiscal year. Pretty soon, we need to invite Prentice Smith to come and talk with Finance Committee. We are supposed to reconsider every so often, who we have for a manager. And it's been Prentice Smith as long as I've been here. Before we got the large endowment, he used to do it as a donation, basically. But, you know, it's actually some work for him now, and so I'm saying, look. So he charges us 0.5% on all but the very smallest, and I have no problem with the fee, and I have no problem with his portfolio management, but every so often we're supposed to touch base and just consider as a committee whether we want to make any changes, so that will be coming up pretty soon. John Ogorzelik attended, and he is a retired portfolio manager who used to be a trustee and used to be on the committee, and I think is some expertise that we don't happen to have among ourselves, so it's nice to have him as a committee member. And he took a look at the statement from Schwab that I download every month so that I can reconcile the QuickBooks account and make sure everything's going in and out as it should be. And the first thing he said is, this statement doesn't show me cost basis information, which I had never thought about because I don't use that when I reconcile every month. But he's right, there's no cost basis information on there. So it is available on the Schwab online platform. I have no idea why it's not on the statement, because you think that it would be. But what I'm doing now is poking around, trying to figure out what is the best way I can get that information off the online platform in some sort of usable, reviewable way. And we also had a discussion of an idea from Bob, which is about thinking more carefully about targeting possible supporters of the library who might want to include us in their estate plans and actually going to them and making that ask. So we discussed positives and negatives about that, but it's an idea that's come up. So any of you have any thoughts about it, yay or nay? We can discuss that for a few minutes, and if anybody has any questions, we'll discuss those. That's it from the Finance Committee.
I definitely think we should encourage endowments. I mean, obviously, our endowments have kept some of the, have helped a lot in the years, so, yeah. That's definitely consideration is endowments, and I'm wondering how we got them, but they're not part of the town. I know it gets complicated because you got the town.
Yeah.
Then you have the Friends, and I don't think the Friends actually have endowments.
Yes.
So,
Although somebody did leave them a recent request. And they were clear that they wanted to go to the Friends and not the town. And I don't know, I've had people say to me, how did the board manage to hang on to the Reed endowment instead of having it go to the trustee of public funds? And I don't know how that happened, but
Jerry worked his magic.
good.
That and the fact that the board already did have some funds specifically for the library, but we have other library targeted funds that are with the trustee funds. So,
Yeah.
it was not a guaranteed result. And that is one reason I'm a little bit uncertain whether we want to start talking this up to people in particular, because I don't think we can guarantee what would happen with a different town management and a different select board.
Yeah, like, in my limited understanding of how all that works, I sort of saw that as more of a Friends.
The Friends are a 501c3, so if you want a charitable deduction, you need to give the money there.
Right, okay. Okay.
Um. It's a little uncertain in my mind. I mean, the town is also a nonprofit entity. But the mechanism by which you can give the town money for certain purposes without it going to a 501(c)(3) is
Right.
a little uncertain, and I don't believe that the estate that did leave us the large endowment was interested in a charitable donation. And some estates might be.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So is it not possible for people to just give money to the Reed endowment?
It is possible for people to give money directly to the library, which they sometimes do. And that endowment is not 100% Reed money. It did exist before that quest.
So if you gave your money there, then you would be guaranteeing it not go out to town, it would stay.
Well.
No.
No.
The question is how eager the town might be to claw that money back.
Right.
So there's always a possibility that the town could claw that.
Oh, they could try.
Yeah.
And then we go to court.
Well, we have the same town attorney as before.
Yep.
But we have a different town manager.
Yep.
And the town finances seem more troubled than they did when we got the Reed donation.
All true.
So let's just say we don't know. And we don't have to settle it today. It's a discussion.
In our experience, it works out, but I don't think that's 100% that it always would.
The other option too with endowments, this is again, the Friends would be the charitable remainder trust,
Sure.
setting up those.
There's a lot, and we do this already on our website. We suggest vehicles that people can use, donations from the IRA or charitable remainder trust or private foundation or outright bequest or, there's a number of different things that people could do. And I don't think we're talking about a huge risk here, but if we get to the point where we're calling up certain people on the phone and saying, would you leave us $2 million, then,
Jenny Rowe, yeah, it's definitely, the Friends are integral to financing so many programs in this library. And I can't off the top of my head remember their budget. But I think children's room and a lot of the programs we would not have the library passes that we offer to the public, those types of things. So, building up on that relationship, piggybacking off of it, I think might be the most beneficial thing.
well, we would want to, sorry, Felicity.
No, please go ahead.
The Friends don't currently maintain any long-term funds. So they would need to add that capacity, and we've added it buttressed by board policy and a dedicated finance committee with a professional advisor, which I think is key. So without some of that infrastructure in place, and would we want $2 million to go to Friends? I don't know. Having been on the other side of this and talked to people about their wills and not about this Friends group at all in any way, but in some cases, if you say, well, if you want the deduction, you have to leave it to the Friends group, then the answer is, oh, no, I want it to go to the people I know at the library. So not everybody, not every Friends group is robust enough or stable enough to do that. That's sort of more one of this board's functions. Even though our money is all based on basically an unspoken agreement with the town.
And we did have a town manager who was making noise about it.
It could
My comment was really to the infrastructure, because at least in my limited experience, it's really hard for a board of trustees to actually step into the role of fundraising without staff. Because boards come and go, some people's skills sit with fundraising, some people's skills sit somewhere else. If you have a strategy, a fundraising strategy needs to be anchored with the staff member who's paid. So that would be really hard, I would think, to sort of set out,
Sort
to
of
say,
knows how to do this.
we're gonna have this project and it's gonna go for 10 years. And there's all sorts of cultivating and who's gonna do the ask and all these other kinds of things that you have to do for a group of rotating people. That's really hard to commit to.
Is the finance committee asking the general board for advice on this right now, or just wanting to inform us that it's a topic of conversation?
We are simply inviting comments. We have not decided to do anything. Okay.
Do you feel like you've gotten the comment?
Yes, I have. Shall we move along? Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Any more questions for Jenny? Is there any that covers everything that you're planning?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Technology Committee, Nikki.
Tech committee is a quick update. We have had some short agendas for the last couple of months. We're taking a little hiatus from our May meeting. The big project, as you all know, over the last couple months has been our new Talking About Tech series. Those have been going smoothly. Attendance has been good. The last Talking About Tech was on the same day as a whole bunch of other events, including the protest. But we still had a fair number of people, some new and some who had been before. So that's all going fine. We're not gonna have one in April because there's so much going on in April. And the morning when we would typically do it is busy. So the next meeting is May 23rd. Topic TBD. We've got a couple in the queue that are coming up and that might be facilitated potentially by Bob or other community members. So but yeah, all that is, I think, going pretty well. Tech committee, is there anything else?
It was a short meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about installation of equipment,
Yeah.
which is progressing. It's pretty much the first phase is done of that.
Yeah.
And then they were talking about mobile hotspots and other items.
We just have like a pile of, some laptops, some hotspots, a few things that are just in the process of being, being set up and put out for use. But all of that is going fine. That's it. That's tech committee.
Thank you so much. Guess what, Nikki, you're up again, buildings and grounds.
I mean, again, obviously this is a huge project, but my update can be fairly brief. The minutes are out there. There are a couple of projects happening in the interior. Just to note those quickly, the dinosaur footprints that have been down for a while. We have a plan now for how to safely display those, and they are going to be put back into circulation here. I don't know. And
they're actually up.
they're up. Great.
I saw them.
He's
Amazing.
coming back tomorrow to finish the
That was
days.
so fast.
I know.
Wow,
Walk
okay.
into the elevator on this floor, you will see the footprints on one side and then the
Tusk, the tusk, yeah,
Tusk.
has been moved up to its original place.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
So
go.
we're-
So the
we're
dino
all set
footprints
for
are out. That's
Summer
exciting.
reading, we're
All right.
good to go.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah.
Just for publicity and stuff.
Oh, yes.
The footprints have been sitting in staff room for years upon years.
Yeah.
So that's why we're excited.
Yes.
Where do they come from?
Dinosaurs.
Yeah.
The dinosaurs have left the
Are they local? Or are they?
Yeah, it is. It was a local find. I don't remember the deal about that. And the tusk also was found locally. What I love about that is the article that was in the newspaper when they pulled the tusk out of the bog. They said, they described it, it was this big and it was white and it was soft and chalky to the
Oh.
bite. And I thought, wow, they pulled that thing out of the bog and the first thing they did was into it. So that's how that was the scientific method at that time.
Lindsay told us that, that while it's been out of circulation, that actually a fair number of people who remember it from, even from when they were younger have asked, about the footprint. So this should be exciting,
Yes.
to have these back up. So that's great. The only other, kind of interior projects right now, we're still working on the doors that lead to the circulation desk downstairs and upstairs, knowing that there are some, issues with both of those, but work in progress. They're slightly different strategies for both, but anyway, we're aware of the issues and are working on fixing those. And then Lindsay's office is working great. The only issue is that when she closes the door, it creates like a wind tunnel and just throws everything off of her desk. So if we're, that Robin has some ideas for how to fix that, and so those are in progress. Just some little details there. The outdoor project, of course, is the focus of building and grounds right now. As you can all see, phase 2, which is happening first, as I think everybody knows now, has begun. It started yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the idea is that this will conclude July 1, give or take. Is there anything that you want to add about what's happening right now?
But I had the piece of the library, Jenny and I were, and Margaret were in attendance with the library, the Vermont library director. She did really emphasize that, number if we are coming with the budget, if we're gonna exceed budget, that the canopy should go. She really put emphasis on that, so we're concerned about the numbers right now. And she thought that was the thing that's most indispensable. I did talk with Seth yesterday about making sure we had pictures of the start of the project back here, so that state wants to see beginning and ending pictures. So he's gonna make sure he has those. Go ahead, start.
Yes, and the other thing that we may be released from is getting an additional generator, because that's a big cost and it's not directly related to access. It's great, it's an emergency in case of another Irene or anything like that, but that's something else that we can pull from the budget. So we will be opening the bids for the rest of the project on Friday at 2:00, and see where we sit with them.
That will tell us a lot about.
Yeah.
Whether we look at funding.
We open on Friday.
Yeah. And
Anna did a great spreadsheet, but we just need to break down the actual contract amount between that and the, what's the word? The contingency.
Yeah.
We still need to firm that up.
So,
and we are getting the William Morris Hunt Bob Relief of Flight of Night, which is the one with the horses, is also back on the premises. Billy's done a beautiful frame around it, and he's coming in at 8:30 tomorrow morning to put that on the wall as well. So
great.
where's that going? It's going just outside the entry to room B on the mezzanine, so it'll really pop nicely against the red brick. It used to be on a white wall back here and in the way, and he's built a whole new plexiglass bonnet, so it was all scratched up and everything. So it's going to be fabulous. Did a good job. It looks better than the one at the night.
Do you want anybody in attendance when they open up the bids, or?
Yeah, I'd love to have some more people. It's gonna be me and Scott, but yeah, the more the merrier, definitely. And it'll be at the town offices at 2:00 tomorrow, or 2:00 on Friday. Yeah.
The next building and grounds meeting is on the 22nd, and those meetings are probably gonna go to, every other week. They will go to every other week, starting with the April 22nd meeting, and the cadence is gonna be different, depending on Pete's availability, which we didn't know the last time we met, we might know now. Well, that's it.
Thank you. Any other questions out there? Okay. We are moving on to Strategic Planning Committee. We met on March 16th. We had a lot of people in attendance. We had Jean and Lindsay and Tara and Amanda. They all joined us for that meeting because we were talking about marketing and the marketing plan that's in place. And just discussed general ideas for marketing with them. We also encouraged, it was presented that it's already said that they're communicating well with Seth at the town offices here, because once Star leaves, I was worried about there being a communication gap. But evidently, Seth does a lot of our library communications. They're in close contact with him. I did see in Star's report 2 comments about that in the marketing. So we talked to them, ideas about AI, and just some ideas in general about coordinating among staff, the marketing efforts that they make. The other thing we talked to, was the strategic plan update. And the board has also discussed this in previous meeting. We're gonna wait until roughly September, October to start the process for kicking off the new strategic plan. Evaluation process, the whole 9 yards. And I can't remember, Felicity and Stephanie, and we did the last one in 2020 or something, I'm gonna have to say, 2022 maybe. If you have any questions about the strategic plan, the old one, feel free to reach out. I do have, don't know if you have one.
I think Star gave me one of those.
She gave you
Yeah,
one.
in the
My packet.
fold, yes,
That's
in your
right.
folder, yes.
That's the current one, that's a process, so even though the date has, I think Seth has updated the date, but it should be updated. We extended the date, I believe that's the date extension is on the library's website. Another project that the strategic planning committee is involved in is amending the bylaws. That's right now on hold, pending the town update to their charter and what they're gonna do. But that's about all. I mean, we talked about the library trustee transition process, that's the free conversation. And the next meeting, we're skipping May and we're skipping April and moving on to May, so. The next meeting will be coming probably the 3rd Monday in May. Any questions? Okay. I'm gonna skip to Cody, see if Cody wants to say anything as part of department reports. Do you have any?
Just general vibes of the library. I think there was a lot of anxiety surrounding the hiring process for a new director. But the sense that I've gotten now is that we are all very happy that, for the most part, all very happy that Julie is coming on board. So that's good. I can report that I've been working on an incident report, which is essentially to track when we have incidents in the library, just for staff to be in the know about what might be going on. And I've come across, or Amanda actually told me information about LibCal, the service that we're currently using for like library bookings and such. They have a incident report module coming out, so I've been looking into. I just got a quote for that a couple of days ago, so I need to sit down and talk to Star and the team about what that might look like if we have that room for that in the budget, because the module that they offer looks like it's going to be very in line with what we're looking for. But now the question is finance.
Is this in part so you could share quickly amongst the staff?
Yep.
Knowledge about what's happened.
Exactly.
Where it all is.
Yeah. So not only that, but also keeping track of it, right? So like, oh, I didn't realize that this person was doing this so often. Maybe we should talk about trespassing, something like that.
Yeah.
So can you define incident?
So as, if you've heard, we had a couple of overdoses that happened on the library premises, so something as big as that. We recently had, incident of sexual harassment coming, from a patron towards staff, so something like that. But the module that I'm currently looking at also offers room for things like if a patron wanted to report something like, oh, by the way, your printer's not working, they could. If we decide to go with this money.
And we want to keep the incidents confidential too, which is part of the issue, is that, you know, so that they're not part of public records. So we do guard our patrons' privacy, and so some of the incidents might be, oh, so-and-so is, I'm worried, keep an eye on somebody because they don't look well and they look like they need a meal and a bath, you know, or something like that, you know,
Cognitive
so.
decline or something like that
Right.
that we're concerned about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but we don't want to have it, subject to a public records request. So,
Yeah, cause I was gonna say, I remember a meeting between the state, head of the state library and John Potter, that whole committee discussion.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago about confidentiality issue, and I think somebody from the police department was there maybe. About, you know, just that disclosure, so is a sensitive area.
And we did talk with, I don't know Hannah's last name, but we talked with Hannah
And Elise, I think.
at, the town.
Lovers, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, who did give us some good feedback about how to proceed if we decide not to go with this. We were actually talking about them, before this module was even on our minds, talking about how to proceed with it, how to make sure we're keeping it confidential, and so they have some good feedback.
Yeah, I would just, I would, wonder about the usefulness of putting lots of energy into an internal incident report structure if you're not allowed to be specific about the individuals involved in the incidents.
Yeah, so the cool thing about this is it would allow us to be
Mm-hmm.
specific about the individual because the information would now be protected and not subject to any sort of public records. What do you call it?
A FOIA request. So, so it wouldn't be on Google and it wouldn't be on the town outlet. It would be on its own platform, which still can be subpoenaed.
Yeah,
But if you, but because library activity is protected, that our advice from Hannah was use the names, because then that protects them. So
is she an
that,
attorney?
yes, yeah, yeah. So that was, she's Bob Fisher's, person, and and that was their advice, that if we actually use the names rather than sort of couching it, and then we can say, no, you know, this is protected. The other thing for an internal, this kind of a platform that Cody's been working on, whether or not we go with LibCal or Google, is that because not everybody's here every day, and a lot of communication, you know, is sort of floating through, like, oh, keep an eye on so-and-so because this and that. This would actually send an alert to staff, to all staff members. There's been an incident, you can go in and check it out. And then the person who did the reporting is then the resource that you can go and say, Cody, so what's going on with so-and-so? So that kind of thing. That we do, you know, we have a notepad where we try and keep notes, and you know, and we try and touch base every morning on things that are going on, but that still misses like half the staff. So.
Thank you for the update, appreciate it. Any other thing on department reports?
Yeah, Lindsay printed off the little booklet that people who had their stuffy stay overnight in the library, did. Oh, first of all, those of you who don't know, just violating confidence right here. Tara fell and broke her femur. And so she is out, Tara is our outreach, programming person. So she does a lot of the publicity, and she oversees the programs and all the meeting rooms. So it's been certainly super traumatic for her. She is also a runner, so that is, yeah. And then but she also is a trooper. She spent all day at town meeting, and despite all this, I know. Right? Somebody said, I wouldn't do that. If that happened to me, I would go to town meeting. I said, you go to town meeting. So, but anyway, so we're pulling back as much as we can on programs. You know, we're already committed to a bunch, and I am working with Tara to see if her doctor is cleared her to do some amount of work from home on a laptop. So, you know, we may be able to do that.
What's the recovery looking like?
I don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard of, so I think it's still
Having
in
had that
question.
injury,
Uh,
I can say that, it's at least, 6 weeks major and, 3 months, less major. It's a big injury.
So that's one thing. The other thing is, last week at the department heads meeting, the Brattleboro Littles Alliance came to visit us to talk about what would strengthen services for families with young children. So Carol and I, they had a list of things that they would like to see, and Carol and I spent yesterday putting together a spreadsheet. Let's hope this is my last spreadsheet. Of some of the things that they had suggested and requested from us, many of which actually do exist either within the community or within town departments, but also what that would cost. So just if you want to give this a gander, how about it? So that is basically what I got.
Thank you, Star.
Yeah.
Everybody's okay. I'm gonna move on to social work and safety assistance update.
Oh, okay. So, we are seeing an uptick. I think, some people are maxing out of their time in hotels, so they're back on the street. I think there were maybe the new 69A, which is a drop-in, daily drop-in day shelter. I think that might have been closed for a couple of days, and so we saw a lot of folks in here. So we are seeing, increased activity, but so far, nothing dire. I do attend the core data presentation every other week at the town, and there are some folks that have come back to town that have been problematic before, so we may see them, but so far, they're good.
Can I just add something? I happen to have been here in the last week, like right at close 2 days, and both days I saw downstairs staff just like saying goodnight to the people who had spent the full day here in such a respectful and like beautiful and welcoming way. And I found that very moving. Like, we'll see you tomorrow. Like how wonderful to be witnessed in that way and to be welcomed back into this space. And it doesn't have to be like that, but I'm so glad that we're doing that. Yeah.
And I think the Colonial Motel shut down suddenly too, so yeah. that's- I'm gonna move on to the fees policy. Now, we had a reading. We're gonna scrap the readings that we've had previously for the fee policy. The staff, the members of the staff reviewed it, and there were a couple more changes they requested to be made. If you look in your book, I think, our little, whatever it is, space with all the documents are saved. Started the copy that I'm seeing there, it's got items that are crossed out and
Yes.
items that are highlighted.
Right, so,
That's-
so I will say that the staff did have a chance to look at it, but then upon further reflection, they made it an even better doc. So they didn't consider their work finished, they, yeah, you know, taking, even though they had looked at it before, they saw things that could make it a better policy, and they were right, it is, I think it is a better policy, so.
So, would you like this to be our first reading, or would you
Yes.
like the board to take time to really take a look at it more closely? I'm okay with it being the first reading, I don't think anybody's had a chance to look at it.
Well, it was in the packet.
Yeah, we
It's
saw it
not
within the
before,
packet,
so
but-
just the yellow highlighted.
Yeah,
So
I think we could go ahead and.
pass it as is as a first reading, that works for me.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
okay. There's no voting on it in the meetings, we just go along. So there's also the photography and video recording policy.
right, and we haven't made any movement on that since the last time we were talking about it.
Right, so there's no change on that.
Yeah.
Town budget, so as many of us know, the town budget was passed by OTM this past Saturday. I think it was a long Saturday for many people who were at the meeting. So did they make any changes or anything? It just passed as it was.
It passed as it was, because they can't change, they can't make any changes to line items, they can vote it up or down, or they can vote an increase or decrease. But, they passed as is, and several people got up and noted their dissatisfaction about this year's budget, but they also said they were going to pass this year's because they realized how disruptive it was last year, and then work towards a better budget next year. So, so I was so grateful. It was wonderful, and also, you know, a lot of the human services money was restored, not all of it, but certainly a chunk. And
$350,000 for it.
yeah. So that
The
was,
request was for 490.
Well, there was no, the request in the budget was for $1 as a placeholder.
Yes,
So,
okay.
2% would have been 490. Anyway, that's where it ended up.
yes. So, and everybody was pretty civilized and reasonable for the most part. So, so that's great. We did, you know, last year we had a 3% cut, which took out $27,000. A little bit of that was restored this year, but not all of it. One of the things that I noticed looking at the budget is that a chunk of money was taken from the children's book budget. And I'm not sure how or why that happened. It was, the proposed budget items were there, and then this was the select board budget. So, so that's, I've let the finance committee know that when we're working out the allocations from the endowment funds, they'll need some help with that. Yeah, and our periodicals, which took a big hit last year, and we're gonna end up going over this year. So we'll want to look at that when we're assigning funds. So that's it. But nobody has to get laid off. Nobody has to have their hours back.
Thank goodness.
So the next item is a director transition. You should have all have received tonight the public announcement. For the new library director. Is there gonna be any overlap starting in, no, so there will no be overlap. She's gonna come in on day one and swim with the fishes?
As
Sleep with the fish.
I am going to invite her to the events on a week from Saturday, and also we may have some sort of just, low key open house my last day, in which case, I'll invite her to that too, because I came to the celebration of Jerry's, the end of Jerry's term, so it's a nice way for, her to meet the community and do that.
What, do you think the board will? What will be, I guess? What do you envision for the board transitioning to her? I mean, I'm gonna say that first week is our May board meeting. So,
Well,
She's gonna show up and,
yeah,
she'll just,
swim with the fishes.
she doesn't have to figure it out, like, for the first board meeting, which would be her second day. She should just put it on her calendar.
And she is a director, so she's used to, board meetings. She also, when I was off at the job, I reached out and asked to have lunch with the board president, and I did my best to meet as many board members as I could ahead of time, just to introduce myself, get to know them. So, if you come on Saturday, a week from Saturday, hopefully she can be there, or maybe invite her to have lunch or something.
So Star, will you, in your last week, sort of send out the packet or not?
Yes, I can do that, I think, yeah, that will.
Okay, don't kill yourself doing it. It could be like,
Agenda.
you're not gonna get rated on.
do the director's report.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so I think, but yes, and I'm working as hard as possible to gather up any tidbits of, wisdom I find lying around the office. So sweep them into a dustpan and put them in a folder. But also I will, Jerry was such a wonderful stalwart supporter, and I intend to do the same. I don't live that far away. I'll be coming in every day to go to experience good city.
I've seen some.
I'm gonna move on to trustee position. So Stephanie, it's our understanding you're gonna be moving in a couple of months.
Could be as soon as June 1st, just at the mercy of the market. But
So we,
And how late could it be?
I'm happy to keep attending remotely. I'm happy to do that. How late could it be? Probably end of June.
Okay, we have had it, we've had a trustee attend from North Carolina, so, if you want to stay with us for a little while during the transition, I think we're happy about that.
Yeah, I'm very happy to do that.
okay, well, so eventually though, we will have to reconvene a nominating committee. With that being said, so. Just keep that in mind, Leo, if you're gonna wanna participate in nominating committee once again, or.
Well, I don't know that we have to have a nominating committee. It's not really, like, the board can appoint the trustee, a temporary trustee until the next open town meeting. So I'm gonna say Jenny's had more experience with that than me, but I'm pretty sure that we have not had the same sort of formal advertising and interviewing process for a
an, an, an interim trustee.
Yeah, the question would be, do we have to find that interim trustee?
Yeah, that would be the question.
If we have no one in mind, then it.
Right, so we could have,
Casting a net
but that's the
makes
conversation
sense.
that we could have,
The one person, who attends the technology committee is president.
that would be fine.
Gemma,
She's been here in the last 2 meetings.
we just do. Are we all?
You can do it, Jen.
So, and do you feel like we need to have further discussion about that, or is this just sort of like an FYI for right now?
This is an FYI, I'm gonna leave it up to the next board president to work through that, how's that? There you go. Okay, so. So we have that twice, so we're gonna cross that out. So new business, conflict of interest forms.
Which Star just went to get,
Star went
yes.
to get.
Yep.
So just before that Star comes back, we ask, I don't know if you recall, we ask every year the trustees to sign a conflict of interest form demonstrating that they understand that they're serving on this board, and this is not just trustees, this is also members from the public who serve on committees. We should be completing these. But there is no conflict of interest involved, that they are making, they are part of the committee votes. So that being said, that's what started passing around now.
Right, now, so let me make a clarification. So it's not that there are no conflicts of interest, it's that any conflicts of interest are disclosed.
Yes, thank you.
And if one has a conflict of interest, there's a recusal.
Yes. Yes,
Some of these have a second page and some don't.
Oh. That's the municipal.
Oh,
code
the
of
municipal
ethics is
code,
attached.
and
It's
this one
attached
doesn't
to
have
something.
a municipal
Yeah.
code of ethics with their form. So you might want one.
I'm gonna move on to officer committee assignments. For the coming effective after this meeting, president will be Margaret Atkinson, who was unable to make tonight's meeting. Assistant president is. Is there, Leo, did I say you wanted to be assistant president or? Other,
Well, we had a late breaking candidate who would be a better assistant president because he will not be leaving the board in a year.
the Bob
That'll be
Bradley,
me.
would you like to be assistant president?
I would be honored.
It's also known as vice president, isn't it?
I thought.
Assistant president, it doesn't really-
Assistant. Thank you. Monkey.
Cool.
Okay, treasurer, Jenny,
Yeah.
you're re-upping, I assume.
I will unless eventually I am going to need an understudy of some kind.
Sure.
But yeah, I will do it.
Thank you, we're most grateful, because you do so much as treasurer. You really do a huge amount of money, huge amount of money. But stop, you guys. Deal with that huge amount of money. Anyway, it's been long. Okay, so that's treasurer, secretary. Circa has volunteered. Yes, I will do it again. To be and that would just be for 1 year because my years is secretary.
And you know how to spell your name.
I do. I choice to never. Ooh. And she knows. She didn't believe in spell check. I'm gonna move on to committees. Finance Asset Development Committee, currently Bob is on that, Jenny and Margaret. Are there anybody else? Felicity, did you want to join the Finance Committee?
I went to the meeting just to sort of inform myself, but I'm happy to be put where I'm never needed.
And I was thinking it might make sense for me to move from tech to finance so that there's some crossover between building and grounds and finance. And Bob said he'd take my spot, under, in tech.
As chair.
As chair.
Yeah.
Okay.
So. Finance would be Nikki, Jenny, Margaret. Who's it?
I can still attend, I just won't chair.
You know,
Who's
you'll be on the
chair?
committee.
I'll be on the finance committee, but I'm still not chair.
So I told Margaret I would chair it because she
Right.
couldn't be president. And then Bob said he would do the minutes for me. So
Oh,
Look at that.
Now, keep in mind, he asked that people serve on 3 committees if at all possible, so. That's fine, you, yes, and you're assistant president.
And so is Margaret still gonna be on the finance committee? I believe so.
yes.
Okay, all right. Gotcha. Okay,
Buildings and Grounds Committee. So Nikki,
Sticking with it.
me. Who else is on the Buildings and Grounds? Anybody else want to join the Buildings and Grounds Committee?
When do you?
It almost doesn't matter. The next meeting is on April 22nd. It's a Wednesday at 4:45, but that's the last
But
one.
now you meet in the afternoons mostly?
We meet in the afternoon.
Okay, so then I could come back, I just didn't like the 9 o'clock.
I have to work at 9, so I
Yeah.
switched things when I.
So, yeah, I'll be down.
Okay.
Join,
okay.
Awesome.
so we've got 3
Who's
trustees.
the chair?
I'm the chair and I'll stick around unless somebody else wants.
I'm just giving you a couple seconds to catch up. You okay? Okay, Technology Committee. Any currently on the technology is Bob. What?
Margaret, Leo.
Margaret
Yeah, we'll go ahead.
and Leo. Do
Are
the,
you dropping technology?
Yeah, I'll talk.
Okay, so I'll be chair, we've got Leo, Margaret, me. We need more,
open join.
Anybody can be on the committee who wants.
Yeah,
Right, well, so traditionally, the new trustees. Don't make decisions necessarily about which committees they join. Like at this meeting, they get to attend. They get to audition, not audition, I'm sorry, they get to try out these committees. Sorry.
Meetings are.
You gotta bring them on board.
They get to try out these committees.
No, we do.
And see which might be a good fit for them. So, Stephanie and Margaret, open invitation to attend any of these committee meetings, and please let, one of us know, what you're interested in so that you can get the invitations.
Yeah,
I'm not interested in tech, it's not a strong suit. no. But if you want me on tech, I'm happy to do tech.
I'm interested in tech. I would do that.
Okay?
welcome.
Right, so, essentially 4 active committees, because, nominating is kind of an ad hoc committee, so with buildings and grounds, technology, finance, and strategic planning.
so strategic planning is the next one currently.
I'm happy to do strategic. I like strategic.
Okay, Bob, Leo, myself,
Me,
Felicity.
I'm on it.
Sarah.
Well, I'm gonna go to buildings and ground, but we don't need 5 trustees on. Usually fine, yeah. Oh, sorry.
And
Okay, so.
so you can,
But
since
you
you're
would-
losing your
you-
power here, and
Yeah, so I'm gonna be.
and you're losing your power here as president, so you can exercise more power at the strategic planning committee, so you don't feel unempowered.
Our list. So Circus gonna drop the strategic plan.
So Felicity on.
Oh, Felicity, that's, I meant when I wrote Margaret, when I meant Felicity. Thank you for, paying attention.
Next, you're gonna be president.
Okay. And you will be most welcome because coming up with the strategic plan. It's, the last time you did it, it was a lot of work, and I know you know that. It can be a lot of work, so. But
When does the strategic planning committee meet?
So typically the third Monday of the month. We are taking off
April.
May, I mean, April, and
May
going
18th.
on to May.
Usually the first week.
And is it, oh, are the meetings always at 4:45?
4:30.
I usually 4:30.
Okay.
I mean, the committee.
That might
I know,
be
that's
an
what I
issue
said.
when we get into
And
the
what
all
comes
things
first?
like
So-
on Mondays and Wednesdays,
Yeah.
and that's scheduled.
It's 4:30.
Set in stone.
We're not set in stone.
Okay.
If you say, I can't meet those days. We're flexible, and I'm just looking.
And they move around.
Yes, we move around. Especially, and that's part of my fault, so it has to do that. It's works evenings too. So that is, I think we've got a good basis. Stephanie, did you want? I didn't mean to leave you out too much. Are you?
The, if there's a spot on the grounds one, I'd like to help with that.
There it
Okay.
is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or the
Yeah,
mayor.
you can,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
can
That
put
you
me
read-
wherever.
That's gonna be a really busy committee.
Yeah.
Nikki, you said that meets next week?
Yes, that means, the 22nd, Wednesday at 4:30 in this room.
And Leo, you've got this whole list, right?
Oh, yeah, I've got the whole list here.
Good, that's what,
You know,
found on
and
it.
somebody will proofread it.
All right.
Star will prove
Jenny's trying to proofread it.
Well, you got a nice big printer, so I can see it from way over there.
That's good.
Okay, one last piece of business. Star. We're sorry to see you. Well, actually, I'm happy for you to be retiring. I mean, everybody deserves retirement, and especially you. You've given how many years of work? You don't have to age yourself, but you've been
10 years here.
10 years here, but I mean, you worked in the business for so many years. So many years.
She's
The
gonna work
bill-
at Experience Goods.
Oh, yes.
How many years did you work during those 10 years?
Yeah, really.
First of all, there is gonna be something at the State House for Star. What date is that, Star?
The 28th.
The
At 10 o'clock.
28th, if anybody wants to go to Montpelier, and join on. So Star, you can, if you have questions about the 28th, sure, we'd be happy to provide more information. Does anybody want to make local speeches, because I'm a terrible speaker?
Wow, look, see, I'm retired. But I will see.
It just needed rain. Yeah, it's gonna, I just, my power wall just told me there's. Gonna have a power failure.
Well, there you go.
I mean,
bring a
you
Just got batteries.
don't start forever.
I brought an umbrella, but I don't know that that's gonna make any difference.
Well, with that being said, we will pass this along.
I will just say, I have so loved working with you, just about all the time that you have been here. I've been here and I have learned an incredible amount from you about how to be a professional, do things right.
That means the world to me, Jenny. Thank you so much. And I know I know your mom was a librarian, so I know that you get what that's all about. And thank you so much. I'm so grateful for all that everybody in this room has done to make it possible for me to be, because otherwise, you know, if I could leave this place in good hands, I could do it. So thank you. Between the trustees and the staff and my colleagues at the town, I know I can leave because I know the community will make you do. They're meeting, yes, they do meet. So, and I'm not really leaving. I'm just, letting somebody else have as much fun as I got to have for the last 10 years. I'm so grateful to have you. So thank you. Really want to.
And your daughter is so looking forward to having you in her library in Turner's Falls.
She's a member.
Yeah, she's a school librarian. She has 3 school libraries that aren't automated, so I'm gonna go read to the kids and she's gonna automate the libraries.
Amazing.
So that's great, and thank you, you guys know what I love.
Any brains in there?
Yeah, for those of you that were here on Sunday, chocolate brains.
Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, much appreciated. I'm so grateful.
And thank you, Storm.
And we'll see you on a week from Saturday and have some fun. Yes.
Uh-oh, meeting adjourned at 6:40. My daughter said we lost power.